thanks for everyone for coming. Thank you for joining us tonight. The first order of business, which is not on the agenda, but we'll add it to it, is swearing in Lindsay, our new member.
The Constitution of the State of North Carolina, and the town of Blowing Rock, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties to which I have been entrusted as a member of the town of Blowing Rock Planning Board on this day, April 20th, 2023.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Next item is approval of the agenda. Is there anything to add? Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Tom? Is there a second? Chris? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Next item is approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Joe, is there a second? Kat? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Next item is a special use permit, 2023-03. And this is the Gardener's Gallery and Blowing Rock Farmers Market. Kevin, if you'll start us out.
Glad to. Thank you, Bill. This is a special use permit 2023-03. Jill Birkin and John Graff, am I pronouncing those right? They're requesting this special use permit to add horticultural sales and a weekly farmers market at the Blowing Rock Antique Store located at 379 Sunset Drive. Property is 0.885 acres in Zone Central Business. This is the former location of the Blowing Rock Pharmacy. This property is in the watershed, and there's a little bit of, not the new river, but there's a small creek that kind of fluctuates along the backside of this property. Back in this area, can you see? Okay. Back in this area here. The horticulture sales would be back in this area here. And some indicated on the site plan, I'll show you that in a minute, but some, along the sides for storage. And then they're wanting to locate a small service building here for the activities for the horticulture sales. It would be a combination, so the antique store will remain, and then in addition to that, they want to have an area on maybe Thursdays. I don't know if they've decided what day yet, to have a weekly farmers market, similar to what we had out here on Park Avenue. And they're showing, this is the parking area, and showing vendors along this space here. The combination of all these, the horticulture sales and the antique store requires 22 parking spaces. This weekly farmers market would require one additional parking space. They would be using some of their current spaces for the vendors. There would still be some parking, but there would be an overflow need possibly. And so I believe they have an agreement with First Baptist Church to use their gravel lot over here for some overflow parking during the farmers market event. The development of the site will result in some minor increases in impervious areas by adding the new addition of the building and some gravel area in front of the building. It should not exceed 500 square feet, and given that little amount of an increase, no additional stormwater measures are being recommended for the site. It all drains back towards the creek, and then ultimately into the new Middle Fork, New River. Along these two rear property lines, here and here, because it's single family in nature, or the adjacent properties are single family, there's an 8-foot wide opaque buffer required here. Now, if the trees are maintained or left in this area, they can use that as an existing buffer, but I believe about everything is gone from this, and so an 8-foot buffer, opaque, maybe 2 rows staggered to provide some buffering of these two single-family uses. Let me look at they're going to have let me rotate this a minute. This is a drawing and a sketch of what Ms. Birkin would like to do as far as their building, and then have a potential greenhouse on the outside of that as well. And then this is an example of the building, and they would paint this to match the antique center. And I did show you the site plan. I don't know if you've got any questions about it. Let me rotate it back around here. Too far. You can see that there's the shed, the greenhouse, and this would be the display area and the areas where you could walk and pick out plants. I think it's probably a lot like mustard seed. You know, that's what she indicated when we met, and to have that feel and that vibe to go along with the antiques, and then on weekly occasion have the farmers market. That's all I have. We can look at it from different angles too. This is the front, and going back to the back. A lot of this has been cleared off, some of the overgrowth in the rear. I'll be glad to answer questions, but I think they may be able to provide a lot more than I could about what their plans are for the use of this site. And so with that, I'll be glad to answer questions. But if not, they're here for you. Yes, Cap.
Seems like the tan house is an Airbnb, so it's not a permanent resident. Is that right?
The greenhouse.
Which one?
The tan one
Is it
there. Right.
This? I think so. I think so. For many years, it was just a resident. I think they were seasonal when it came up. I think it changed hands. It's still a house. Or
Requires a screen.
residential. Still residential.
So would that screen be a wooden fence or?
It can be, but just a fence does not satisfy the opaque buffer. It also requires some plantings too, but a fence can be a part of that.
Okay.
Fence is not required. They can put up just screening and plantings that will provide the same thing.
Like Leland cypress or something that.
They can do some
grows tall?
hemlocks or some rhodos and some combination. She ought to have some plant material.
What to choose
You
from?
can get a good deal on it. Yeah.
Examples.
Not Leland cypress.
No.
Those are not.
Okay.
No, not gonna survive up here.
I have limited knowledge in it.
Is the applicant, do y'all have any comments you want to make about that?
This is Jill for the flowers, but the farmer's market, Kathy from, the chamber came to me about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and she said, I got some bad news, we're not gonna do the farmer's market anymore. I said, oh my God, at least I love those people with flowers, because they sell out, everybody wants them here. So she said, I said, well, Kathy, why couldn't we do it out here? She said, well, that would be amazing. I said, well, do you support that? She said, absolutely. So I started making some phone calls, and, I like what was out here, but it was really flowers and goat cheese and orchids and one lady with a table with 7 vegetables on it, which wasn't much of a farmer's market, but I bought $150 worth of flour from these big folks in my store every week they were here. And I bought goat cheese almost every week. So I first called the goat cheese lady. She said, well, I've heard about it, but if you could put something together, I want to do it. So we've talked to 8 people. And so far, down in Lenore, the pro baseball player that owns 4440 Beef Cattle Company, they grow their own Wagyu beef in Caldwell County, pasture-raised, grain-fed, and they want to come and sell fresh meat cut to order every week and some flash frozen other products they have. So I'm excited about them coming because I think fresh meat is pretty cool to have. The goat cheese lady, she's coming back, and we have found a company that I bought from at Farmers Market in Boone, and also at what was it? Where I go? Grocery store. Earth Fair. Cultivated mushroom grower, High Country Fungi, and they're coming. There's an elderly Italian man that's going to prepare fresh pasta every week. Different pastas. We got somebody that wants to sell strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, rhubarb. In the fall, add peaches and apples to it. I'm not decided on 1 or 2 people who are trying to make it happen, and one of them will. We're going to get a local farmer. They'll have every vegetable you can think of, a whole full spread. Nothing but cakes that are out of Hickory. They want to come and do it every week. And the flour people that have been out here, they're coming back. Yeah. And we're actually talking to someone that will come maybe twice a month to add some fresh homemade bread. And we're talking to someone right now about maybe some fresh seafood as well. So I mean, it's just more well-rounded. You want to come to the farmer's market, you get fruit and meat, goat cheese and pasta and bread and a little bit of everything. So I think it's going to be better. And anyone we've told so far, they're like, oh my God, we're so excited to be able to do that. So I hope it works out, and it's good for my business. And I think it would be Thursdays, just like the other one was. And y'all had it from 3 to 6 out here. The vendors, several of them said, why couldn't we do it from 2 to 6? So she said, we always had people when we were setting up, showed up an hour early anyway. So why don't we do that and give us all a chance to sell more? That's up to you. I'm not a farmer's market director, and I just sort of facilitate this to happen there. And I think the people we talked to are super excited to come if it works out. But it'll be the 30s, and the church did give us permission to have parking in the gravel lot next door. And what I told Kevin a week or so ago was that I think I'm going to go ahead and put a sign up at the entrance to our parking lot and divert from 2 to 6. Anybody wants to come to market, I'm going to have somebody out there just today saying, please park in the gravel market. Walk 50 feet. If you need to pull your car around and pick something up, then come on in there and get something. But otherwise, I don't know what parking we do have that the vendors will take on one side. It's totally alleviated by going into the church parking next door. They said we'd never have any issue, that we could use it anytime we wanted to. So that's really all I have about it. But I'm excited if it happens, and I'm more excited about this one. Because I think she's awesome, and she's a hard worker, and I think it'd be another great addition to our area. That's a little bit more variety and more choice. Why not?
So regarding the farmer's market, if I may, how much of the year would it?
Same as here, probably. If we get approved on the 9th, we started on the 18th, the Thursday after Mother's Day. Because several vendors say, like the flower people said, we're so busy, we couldn't start till then. I think that's about when it started out here, and it goes to October or something until it gets cold. It would end there. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question, John and Jill. So when you have the farmer's market going on, there's still going to be parking in your lot
All that against the building.
on the right? Okay.
Those 9 or 10 spaces. Yes.
Okay. Is
But
there any
I-
kind of a
But I do want to say that I'd rather than, even my customers who come up during that 2 to 6, I'm gonna have somebody at the entrance say, could you please park there, even for my store,
If they can.
if they can, if we need it.
Well, the question is, if they're coming there to get, plant material from your business, Jill,
Yeah.
during that time, you know, they're picking up, 4, 5, 7 gallon plants. How, is there any conflict? What can you anticipate with that? How's that gonna work?
I have a bunch of dollies that hold up to 1,000 pounds, trailers, and we, as the workers, would then bring their plant material. Either you could enter and then go out the drive on Ransom, so they could just pull up and we could load it for them, or we could dolly it to their car if the cars are parked in the lot next door, if they overflow parking. We can dolly whatever.
You can
plant
dolly it
material.
over there.
By the alleyway.
Where's that?
There's an alley next to Toe Street. It goes out to Ransom.
In front of that house.
Right there. Out here?
Yeah,
That's
that's
our
an
property.
So someone's gonna park in the street and you're gonna load up?
No, if they pull in,
They can
they
pull
can
in.
exit that way, so it's an entrance only, exit only onto Ransom, right?
Okay.
So it's not backing up. Or behind the John's building, there's a walkway where we can dolly the plants to the cars over in that gravel parking lot,
Okay.
if you don't want them to come into the parking area in
Oh,
John's.
I just wanna know how you're
We don't
gonna
have
work.
a lot of people, and we've got those 10 parking spots against my building, and it's not really busy. Somebody wants to come up and get 4 plants for 4 minutes and put them in their car. Just like I said, if they're parking on that gravel lot, and they need to come over here and pick up too much to carry, or we can help them carry it, they can pull in for that minute
Okay.
and a half, and
I
then
follow
they go right back out.
All right,
Yes, sir.
you've thought it through.
There'll be some muscle there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Got it. Okay, thank you.
A question on the, where you're doing your retail out of. Is this a representative picture of your building, or are you thinking about a stick built, or are you having a prefab building located on the lot there?
Excellent question. So we were originally gonna do the prefab just to get it done quickly, and then in talking to Kevin and Brian, realizing that there's a little bit more to commercial space and code and all of that. If we need to stick build, we can stick build. That might come at a later time, because trying to arrange for builders at this time is not easy. We've been looking for a little while, and it's a little bit of a struggle. So if we need to operate without that, that's okay. That would just really house more of the, so what I do, I consider what I do more to be like an art form, and I use plants as my medium. And I design containers a little more artistically than what you get at a typical big box nursery. But if you want to purchase and build your own, and I can teach people how to do something a little more unique and selective to themselves, I can do that as well. But this was basically just to house the point of purchase machine and a couple of the things that go along with having a picnic or a garden party would be the non-plant material that I would be selling. So like melamine wine glasses and a nice plate and a little spread for an outdoor picnic. There's so many beautiful areas in Blowing Rock to do that, and just to have a little thing to go and not have it be throwaway material that you can use is important to me, so.
So this would be an original temporary structure before you built a stick-built building?
No, if this was to be approved
Right.
and I was to get approval on this, then we could go ahead and order it, and in 3 to 4 weeks, they say it would be ready for us. The color of the building, not this white and brown color. And it's an attractive place, but if you wanted us to stick build something, if this was not to your liking, we could then go ahead and stick build something, but that would probably be more towards the winter time.
Yeah, no, that's why, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I was just wondering in terms of being a formal retailer, I didn't know how much you wanted to have a prefab versus a stick-built, concrete floor, whatever, drains, water, all the interesting things that you need.
Yeah, so we have a farm, a 52 2-acre farm just down the hill here. I like to stay in the shadows of Blowing Rock in a little town called Mulberry. I don't know if any of you have heard it. A lot of people haven't, and it's just funny because it's between here and Lenore, but it is your next town over, is around the Globe Mountain area. We don't have a post office, so we go by Lenore mailing address, but it's a little community of people who are very self-sufficient. And anyway, we have this farm, and so I am growing a lot of plant material on my property, and I do propagation and all of that, and I grow myself. So when I met with John, this was kind of like a last minute thing, and it started out selling flowers because the farmer's market wasn't going to be here, and I said, I can provide you with some flowers, but he told me how many flowers, and I said, my God, I don't have that many yet. And then the plants, and then I said, well, I have access to it, and I only use local North Carolina farms to purchase material that I don't grow myself, which is, again, is important to me. But because of the volume that John was telling me about how many people in Blowing Rock like flowers, it made me nervous. And I said, I'm gonna cut everything down and dig everything up, and there won't be anything for next year. And so I started to look into sourcing locally some other plants. So none of the propagation would happen. Like even that little greenhouse that was on the side of it, we're not propagating anything here. We're not really growing anything. This is just retail, and it is a small building. It's not large, but I'm just down the hill, and I can replenish quite easily when need be.
So as far as the greenhouse goes, you could actually attach it to this type of building and structurally it would be compatible?
Yeah, and that's more for if you have one of the cold nights that are coming up, and I brought some things that were tender, or if they were in bud, certain things once it's budding, if it's a perennial and it only blooms once, then if the frost gets it, you won't get a bloom out of it. So then it would be kind of to protect some of those plants for that day when this weekend that's gonna be close to freezing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Kevin, is there any concern about parking with the toastery? No. There's no division there with parking lots, is there?
There is none.
There is now? I haven't.
There is now, we've repaved,
I knew there had been some repaving there.
Repaved, restriped it, there's a definite delineation.
So you made definition?
And the new owner of the toastery has been incredible in the last couple of months. He's come by to see me, and I spoke to him this morning, and he came by to visit with me about a week and a half ago. He said, John, I know there have been real issues with parking in the last couple of years. He said, you will not ever have one of our customers ever park in your lot again. He said, I will make sure when they walk to the door, they know they can't park there, and we have our parking, our street parking, and he said, I give you my word, you'll never have another issue with parking with us again. So we had a lot of issues with them.
Did you? Okay. Well, I just wondered because there has been no division, and you try to, each business needs to stand alone with their own parking and not
Yes.
your neighbors. You have to be compatible with each other.
Well, you can see the line right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's between private properties. We don't mess with it. But, I mean, they can
We
handle
stripe
that.
the parking lot. There's the entrance right there, there's two entrances here on Sunset. We went just to the right of that line, of that entrance. Now, that's not our property line, but when we paved it, we just thought that's gonna look better. And I told them we're doing it, and they said fine. And then when we striped it, I didn't put the stripe that's going from front to back, I didn't put it right on the property line. I came over about 4 or 5 feet, because it's really tight when they get in there to back out. And I thought that was the nicer thing to do, that it just avoid a lot more problems down the road, to let them have a little bit more room, because we didn't need, we still had plenty of room between, we had to meet code to, those, that side and this side had to have a certain feet, and we were still way over, so I erred on this side to give them some more room. And we may put some rectangular planters or down on that line to look better. You know, like to do at Twigs, we have those rhododendron planters, those rectangular ones. I might get the guy, the Mexican guy on 321 to make a couple of those and put some shrubs or something in, just to give them a little bit more delineation if we're able to do that. But I've already pulled it in for about 6 or 8 feet further.
So, question for you, Jill, if I may. This is a similar kind of question. Is your intent to be selling your retail operation year-round, or is it seasonal as well?
That would probably be seasonal. I might open it up a couple of weeks before the holidays to do wreaths or to do some kind of class. I'm a master gardener, I got NC State certified, and I do a lot of volunteer work. And one of the things that is very popular are the classes and people learning how to do things the right way and putting things together themselves, or learning about natives or bees or pollinators and butterflies. So I'm planning on being closed during the winter, getting a break. and then just maybe popping open for a little bit there, but being a seasonal.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Entertain a motion. Anyone so chooses.
Make a motion to approve the request.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, great addition. Congratulations, great addition.
This means we can go? I mean, is this it?
Town council.
Another step.
One more step.
This is just a recommendation to the town council.
You gotta go to council in May. You gotta go to council in May.
All right. Jump in the gun.
Same place, same time?
No,
Not the same.
No.
same place,
Different.
May the 9th, 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock.
6.
Folks, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Great addition.
Welcome. Thank you. I like,
Yeah, come and see us when we get up.
I will. I will.
Thank you all very much.
Certainly. Take care.
Any other business?
Everybody, now's the time if you want any updates.
Any news on the committee, land use committee?
I think we're gonna fold that in to the comprehensive plan. We met with Jason and Vaughn and the team with Benchmark. And I think it just makes good sense to take the subcommittee. Now Pete's gone, but with the comprehensive plan, we added Chris, so it's you four. And if y'all let's just serve on one and let's roll this discussion about downtown into the comprehensive plan. It's gonna take longer, but I think it's gonna be better. Because there's not really any big study areas that I know, that I can think of. Something may come up. But the downtown is where we probably ought to spend most of our focus with the comprehensive plan, and then let other parts of it evaluate what we have worked on in the last 10 years. And it'd be a great opportunity for public comment and public involvement, focusing on our downtown. We want to get it right.
You probably get more public comment that way anyway.
I think so. I think we will. So that's the strategy. I think with the land use plan, we had Steve Cohen and Sue Glenn and Doug and David on council. So that's the strategy. Let's just fold it into one and let that be a topic of comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Satisfactory? Sound
Yeah.
good? Okay.
I think that sounds good.
All right. So the Ann Fur's building got approved. If you probably saw that on council, that's good. We're excited to get her through the process. Brian did a good job.
Mine was an ABC.
Yep, that's okay. That's okay.
Any indication of what may be going in there? Have you heard anything, or can you say? Or?
We're trying to suggest all kinds of things. It seems like that's not what she wants.
Okay.
I'll take anybody. Anyway, no. Well, High Country Press, possibly.
That's what I heard.
Possibly High Country Press. So
I think he wants a bigger space. I spoke with him the other night.
Okay. Ken? Who?
Sam
Who's Sam?
Garrett.
Okay.
He's
Okay,
the
Ken
owner.
catch you sell it? Okay.
Yeah, he's the owner. Well, it's 1,200 square feet per if there are 3 units in it. And he said he just thinks he wants more space.
More space than just one of the units.
Oh, so she's wanting to divide it into 3.
I thought she did. And
Well,
from his
if she-
comment, it sounded like that's what she wanted.
Well, we'll get involved in it, but we'll see what happens. Okay. I believe, I want to comment on things that I can comment on, not,
Well, we want you to
speculation.
comment on them too.
I don't know the timeline for the old Scotchman, Green Construction. I think I said this last time. They indicated once they start, they want to be able to demo and continue on. They've been grading the last 2 days down at the brewery, which is encouraging.
You ever get the issue with the water worked out with Boone?
Got it, yeah, got a new agreement with Boone. So if the property is in town, annexed, or it has to have an approval process, it's gotta already be in the ETJ, which is in jeopardy, I'm sure. Possibly in jeopardy, all ETJs statewide.
Seems like every year that comes up.
Yeah, it does, something along those lines. But the stipulations were that whether it be Boone or Blowing Rock, that the property has to be in town or approved through conditional zoning. I don't remember if special use was still allowed to be in that agreement. So yes, that was big for us to get that agreement, but.
Kevin, across from the recycle center on 321, that big hole, do you have any idea what is happening there?
No, so that's in the county.
Right.
The ETJ line kind of runs right through the middle of it, and the majority of that property is in the county.
Okay.
I just know, and Brian's had some discussion with the county, they're just trying to fill it at this point.
I saw a dump truck with dirt today pull in there.
And some of it's coming from the brewery, and so the guy that has that property had to get permits for what he's doing, and
I've heard condos, but I don't know how that will work. I think they're just trying to make it marketable.
there was some.
It was a large hole to fill.
And
They made it larger.
They
the
did.
brewery may have enough to fill it, so. Everything else that it would be speculation, and I don't wanna really get into anything that I'm not allowed to speak to.
Can you say anything about what could potentially happen at the old Tanger outlets? Is there any discussions about what those folks might be looking at, or is that too premature?
It's probably premature. I don't know if the future of that property is one level building, one level retail. Probably be a good site for a little bit more mixed use, whether it be a lodging or residential in combination. So everything's kind of slowed down as far as discussion about that lately.
And then the property on 321, I think it's below the furniture market. There was speculation about a hotel there at one time. Is that?
Well, I had looked at some plans in a preliminary for a hotel there, but I have not heard from them since October. Doesn't mean they're not doing anything, but I just haven't heard from them, or
Well, financing is probably a major issue right now.
could be.
Interest rates anyway.
So if you're on Main Street going toward 321, just past the manor, that property that was for sale now says under contract?
On the right,
Mm-hmm. What's that?
it's a very difficult piece of property to develop, but I've looked at some preliminary plans on that site. It's tough to fit anything in there, but nothing formal. Climbed around, there's a neat retaining wall right through the middle of that.
It's zoned general business?
I'm sorry?
Is it zoned general
It
business?
is, and, never really explored that property until I met an engineer out there, and, big retaining wall down the middle of that property that I never knew was there. You know, you could, where Arete Engineering, it's similar in that type of slope, and you'd have to access off the top, and you might be able to access something off the bottom, but nothing more formal than that. And the hotel, as they've started to put the roof on the hotel at the Embers, it's taken on a little different flavor. From here, from right out here right out here in this parking lot, you look over, it's like, doesn't look too bad. Perspective is everything. If you, John was up doing the inspection, he sent us a picture from one of the upper level rooms looking over downtown. It's pretty cool. But it's moving quick now. Not that they're doing wood framing. Anything else?
I'm good.
All right.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hearing no other business, we're adjourned.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.